This is a visualization of his change from becoming a Prowler to becoming a Spider-Man. We can conclude pretty evidently that if Aaron lived, Miles...
Oh, he was supposed to become Prowler, but Spider-Man saved him. That's good story writing. Let's look at this video. Miguel O'Hara was right. Any Spider-Verse fans in the chat? We about to get on a Spider-Verse reaction. Shouts out to XP for making the video. Like the video. And let's watch.
Media usually takes its
Fast Star, what's up? Did you see the 40 terabyte shit with David? No, I didn't. What the fuck is that? It just threw me off when I'm watching the fucking Spider-Verse video.
Time to disseminate its messages across audiences, on the assumption that the audience knows what is actually happening. Art is subjective, and in a world of mass media, sometimes you kind of have to say what you caught on. So, let me be perfectly subjective when I say this. This man was wrong.
You need to leave!
You need to leave!
We're at a point in time where we can finally look past the glitz and glamours of Across the Spider-Verse and actually address who makes a good point throughout the whole movie. Because this isn't your typical beat the bad guys up type of film. It addresses one question. What does it mean to be Spider-Man? And we have a unique situation in that, at first, a lot of people I found took Miguel's side. And it's only recently that I've seen people who didn't take his side give their reasons
I truly forgot Miguel reasoning, so this video gonna catch me up.
on why he's wrong. I am one of those people. Here's why. Do you remember how in Infinity War it seemed like almost everyone thought that Thanos had a good point despite some obvious flaws that you only thought of when you finally give it some time? Yeah, that's the same thing.
Thanos had a terrible point.
Now, the problem with Miguel is that he thinks that the universe has to stick to its aligned path. All of the movie is about Miles discovering the multiverse and its many possibilities, including the possibility of total destruction. Now, possibilities.
No.
Including the possibility of total destruction. Now, the deeper story arc is about Miles learning about what it means to be Spider-Man, specifically a Spider-Man faced with impossible choices and the realities of taking on the mask, loneliness, secrecy, etc. With great power comes great responsibility. So, what is that?
I'm getting tired of that shit. With great power comes great responsibility. I'm getting tired of that phrase. Somebody needs to come out with something new. I'm getting tired of that shit.
Let's say about Miguel. Miguel is upset with Miles because, according to him, Miles is the anomaly, causing all the dangerous rifts that are destroying entire universes. The very spider that bit Miles was never meant for him. And that would be true if Miles didn't end up becoming Spider-Man regardless. And with continuity,
I always like how he slapped it off.
the spider that bit Miles was never meant for him. And that would be true if Miles didn't end up...
I always like how he did that shit. The main reason why I like Miles Morales Spider-Man, bro, I know this is a Miguel video, but the main reason why I liked his shit, because it's different. Every time somebody come up with something different towards something, but keep it authentic to the character, it's always a good thing, bro. And I think that people should keep doing that type shit. James Gunn, authentic to the character for the most part. But that's why people liked it, because it wasn't evil. It wasn't a straight... Sometimes it's routes of going too far, if you get what I mean.
Becoming Spider-Man regardless. And with continuity, too. That spider was meant for this timeline's Miles, who ended up becoming his universe's Prowler. And like our Miles Morales, his universe has progressed. It's been months since the day Miles Morales became a Spider-Man, with no changes whatsoever to his universe, and we can assume the universe of the Prowler Miles. In other words, the universe is adapted. Miguel has good reason to want to get rid of.
I ain't gonna lie, my brain cooked right now. What the fuck did he just say? I'm cooked, nigga. I am cooked. That was beyond my brain capacity right now.
The source of the problem, even if it is, by false assumption, Miles. He tried to go into another universe and replace the Miguel that was there. That Miguel had died. So, at a meta-existential level, Miguel essentially is reviving himself.
Okay, I got
you. He is continuing off where the other Miguel couldn't, which, according to that timeline, shouldn't happen. Assuming that this Miguel was meant to be Spider-Man, you could argue that this was a good thing. Here's the thing. Under that logic, Miles becoming the Spider-Man, not a Spider-Man, the Spider-Man, would make a lot more sense. Not only was he not meant to become Spider-Man because of this, the Peter Parker of the time was very much the definitive Spider-Man. He was famous, he had a happy marriage, he had basically everything.
So Miguel was supposed to be Spider-Man, but he ended up, that spider bit Miles, and he ended up getting cooked from that. I think that's what I took from that.
Outside of perhaps Parker Industries. The whole sequence of events surrounding Miles becoming Spider-Man is chronologically insane. We get this scene where Miles, after getting bit, has his spider sense synchronized with this Spider-Man. This is a visualization of his change from becoming a Prowler to becoming a Spider-Man. We can conclude pretty evidently that if Aaron lived, Miles...
Oh, he was supposed to become Prowler, but Spider-Man saved him. That's good story writing.
Would have followed in his shoes, like the other Miles. But at a greater level, this sets the tone for the rest of his universe. This is gonna be their Spider-Man now. It does cost the previous Spider-Man his life, because Kingpin...
Yeah, see, Johnny Dome, we need a spotlight on, Amadeus. Probably didn't say that right. Chow, aka Iron Spider. See, I should just said Iron Spider. Sure, fuck it. I don't know who that is, but fuck it.
Kingpin is desperately searching the multiverse for his family, and he gives them the Ganondorf down smash. But it's solidified from that point on that Miles Morales is the successor. Desperately search. It does cost the previous Spider-Man his life, because Kingpin is desperately searching the multiverse for his family, and he gives them the Ganondorf down smash. But it's solidified from that point on that...
Wait, who did he kill? Did he kill Spider? Wait, who the fuck did that nigga just kill? I don't remember much from that movie, but god damn.
Miles Morales is the successor to Chris Pine Peter Parker. So, on one hand, we had a Miguel that saw firsthand the consequences of his actions by assuming the place of another. On the other hand, we have a Miles that is about to get smacked with the responsibilities of being a Spider-Man. And you could ask, what's the difference? They're basically doing the same thing. Asides the fact that the other Miguel's universe got hit with a source glitch, replacement is different from succession. One assumes the place, while another is given their place.
See, I forgot what a source glitch is.
They had
I don't know what even the fuck that is.
Replacement is different from succession. Which is even weirder when you consider that Miguel is also a successor, the Spider-Man of 2099. The only difference here is that it takes nearly a century before Miguel even gets to that point. And he's not even a real Spider-Man. If you follow the canon timeline for how Miguel becomes Spider-Man 2099, there's no tragic event that sets him on that path. It's actually an accident. Doesn't that sound familiar, huh? At worst, Miguel is completely misguided in his hunt for Miles. At best, he's projecting his own fears and insecurities. Only a couple of times does he consider that the Spot, which is a side effect of Kingpin's multiversal plan, is the actual threat. A butterfly effect that Miles was...
Spot was a good villain by the end of the movie.
We even have a brief scene where we see him standing over every Spider-Man in victory. So, who wants to tell Miguel that that's the canon, huh? He's hypocritical because his own perspective and evidence is not only contrary to what can end up happening.
Spot is a simple villain, you know? You turn me into this fucking creature. Now I'm gonna chase you around every spot. Spot. That works, doesn't it? I'm gonna chase you around everywhere and fucking kill you now. Simple villain, simple story. Execution was good.
but also is counterintuitive to the very structure of spider people in general. Which brings us to some evidence and why. The Spider Society is this multiversal operation that involves multiple Spider-Men from different dimensions, all based on Nueva York 928. There's all manner of services, including training grounds, restaurants, and... Okay, I gotta let this out. Why are y'all here? My first counterpoint to Miguel's stash of evidence is the existence of the entire
Spider-Verse
Spider
makes
Society.
sense.
The most jarring point of evidence is that every Spider-Man is completely different from completely different universes. Some might be similar, but let me get to that. And the purpose of the
fat Spider-Man, that's a out of shape Spider-Man right there. This, if I was in this universe, nigga, I would not want to be there, nigga. This is a fat Spider-Man, dog. Ain't probably doing shit. Probably just laying around eating chips. That's one Spider-Man I would not want.
Some might be similar, but let me get to that. And the purpose of the Spider Society is to combat multiversal threats. We can assume that Miguel brought everyone together when universes started disappearing. Certain technology was adopted to prevent Spider-Man from source glitching, like Miles. Not to mention, it's not just the Spider-Men, but their villains as Not to mention, it's not just the Spider-Men, but their villains as well, who are here, imprisoned, but nonetheless not just the Spider-Men.
Trying to catch that.
Not to mention,
Ben Riley, aka Scarlet Spider on Earth.
It's not just
what? Huh? Ben Riley? I'm so confused. He a clone of Peter.
It's the Spider-Men, but their villains as well, who are here, imprisoned, but nonetheless present. This is all the brainchild of Miguel O'Hara. And the
I swear, if I
for
see
Miguel's
fucking
is that the Spider-Man and their universe has to stick to
Childish
a certain
Gambino
timeline,
one more time.
Canon. No deviations, otherwise it all falls apart. And I cannot honestly say that I know everyone's Spider-Man story, but Miguel says specifically that they basically have to stick to what happens to them, including their Uncle Ben moment. Here's the thing, not everyone has an Uncle Ben. What I mean by that is that not everyone has a defining moment that equally mimics every other Spider-Man. Miguel shows Miles a history of every Spider-Man out there, and there is a
great
pattern for Uncle Ben moments. It is true that everyone had one, including Cool Boy Rockstar Rebels Spider-Punk, who is all about breaking the norm. And Miguel explains that canon has to happen, otherwise a universe implodes, using his universe as an example and referring to the now broken canon of Pavitir's universe as another. But do you notice the two differences here? His fault, not Pavitir's fault. Pavitir?
Pavitra.
I'm so sorry. His fault, not Pavitir's fault.
Pavitra.
That one is Miles's fault. But can you blame Spider-Man for helping people? No! Another issue is that Miles hasn't even gotten to his Uncle Ben moment. It was actually an Uncle Aaron moment.
Kind of confused right now, but I'm trying.
Very different from other Spider people, as far as we know. And Miguel, seeing that as canon, wants to stop Miles from preventing that. More specifically, in this case, it's when a certain police captain dies. This helps establish the canon. But hold on now. When Spot became a threat, Miles saw his dad, a soon-to-be police captain, dying in the line of duty. He also saw all the Spider-Men KO'd by the Spot. And the Spot is a side effect of Kingpin's plan. And in fact, his existence was his choice, because he was working for Kingpin. He got in the way of a brand new Spider-Man who was being helped by
forgot he was working for Kingpin.
Which means that Miguel's whole canon theory is bogus. Miles' universe, which has been persisting for months, has not seen any problems. In fact, the only deviating factor in Miles' universe is that he knows of the existence of other universes and wants to explore them through his world's resources, quantum physics and whatnot. Now obviously, if you read into every frame, there's likely more deviations that exist. But if the canon is meant to be so strict, then the two universes of Miles Morales should be gone by now. But they're not. They've progressed and adapted to multiversal changes smoothly.
I let him stick his line. Yeah, he's correct. Yeah, they would be gone by now if Miguel was correct. Yeah, see, I understand.
I think that the Prowler Miles knows that Spider-Man is supposed to exist. And to tackle the white elephant in the room, Miguel is not Spider-Man. He is a Spider-Man 2099. He is a near 100-year-old successor in a world that plays by very different rules with very different contexts. Even if we just go by the canon of this version of Miguel, his tragic backstory Uncle Ben moment was way different. It was his fault on a universal scale, not just a random gunshot to a beloved parental figure or a police captain dying in the line of duty. Not to mention, he's not technically Spider-Man. If there were more Spider-Man 2099s in the society, then I could find more weight in his argument. As far as we're concerned, it's just him. Even Peter B. Parker comments on this. Heck, Insomniac Spider-Man, who does exist here, has his moment way after he becomes a Spider-Man. That moment solidifies that he becomes the Spider-Man, but he's also already taken down a major antagonist group and did a bunch of heroic Spider-Man stuff. And let's not forget about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And this is where the canon theory falls
See, we was good before we mentioned Tom Holland, my nigga.
apart, in my opinion. Miguel references the MCU's Spider-Man as an especially difficult wrinkle, but that would also mean that the MCU is canon to the Spider-Verse. I mean, obviously, that's on the nose, but ask yourself this. Does he know that the MCU is a fractured timeline? Multiple series and movies, specifically
What is
Loki
happening
and
right
the
now?
Multiverse of Madness, show us the
This nigga's
ongoing
opening up
consequences of this
what the
timeline,
hell?
or rather, timelines. Because when Endgame happened and blah 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 timeline shenanigans, multiple branches of the primary timeline were created, all still progressing while not erased completely. It's only in Deadpool and Wolverine that we do see that there are timelines that are broken, and it is when they lose their anchor being. It'd be insanity to try.
I always thought that the guy that ran the TVA was a good choice. That was a good the guy from Succession. That was a great choice casting.
And apply this logic to the Spider-Verse. So let's do it. Assuming Miles is the anchor being, his death would spell the end of his world. But that doesn't make any sense, because his Spider-Man story happens because of a spider from another universe. Deadpool and Wolverine do show that it's entirely possible for a new anchor being to become the replacement of
Shouts out to
world.
this motherfucker that made this video. These edits are
It's entirely
clean,
by
nigga.
chance that he becomes Spider-Man, but it does set into motion the rest of his story, and he goes with it. Not to mention, something like this would probably kill him. You know who could tank this kind of damage? The Spot. So, assuming Spot is also an anchor being, wouldn't stopping him lead to the universe falling apart? Maybe. But it would also lead to the destruction of all the Spider-Men, like Miles, who could also be an anchor being, which means that... I sound mental, don't I? Terrible.
Bro, I was about to
aside,
say,
the
bro,
point
this is crazy,
there's not
nigga.
enough
Shit
depth
blowing my
and
mind, nigga.
substance in Miguel's
It's
theory
too much.
that it's 100% going
I feel like
to
my
happen
brain
to
about
every
to
single
explode,
Spider-Man.
my nigga.
Yes, I am aware that nearly every spider being in the society is affected at one point or another in a way that correlates to Miguel's theory. Okay, let's assume the theory is plausible by looking at Mombatan's anomaly. That does not look like a typical anomaly. That looks like the Spot's sheer power breaking a world apart. Even if we go by the logic that Miles
Agree.
is the problem,
Okay, I'm back in
he's
it.
also the solution. No one else saw the future as he did. He might not have the exact power yet to beat the Spot, but he's also the only one with the knowledge of Armageddon for everyone. Not just his world, but the entire multiverse.
Okay,
should the Spot
understood. Yeah,
succeed.
I remember that.
Another problem is to what extent the multiverse would collapse. The MCU is its own chronological monster. So how can we assume that the Spider-Verse breaking would actually affect it? Not to mention, some Spider-Men don't even exist in the actual society, like Spider-Bite, who's still in her own dimension. Like, why is Peter B still there? Like, this doesn't make any sense!
Oh, is that fat Spider-Man? Oh, Spider-Bite?
According to Wikipedia, The suspension of disbelief is the avoidance, often described as willing, of critical thinking and logic in understanding something that is unreal or impossible in reality, such as something in a work of speculative fiction, in order to believe it for the sake of enjoying its narrative.
Nigga. You know what? That's the phrase of the day. John Bap, but he making it that deep. This the phrase of the day. Suspension of disbelief, nigga. It's a lot of things people I can say that shit to. Suspension of disbelief. It's like, you know it, you know it's not, but it's just, that's the suspension of disbelief. I think I got that right. I don't know.
Is the avoidance, often described as willing, of critical thinking and logic in understanding something that is unreal or impossible
like going
in
brain
reality,
dead.
such as something in a work of speculative fiction, in order to believe it for the sake of enjoying its narrative. In other words,
That's a lot of shit. That's a lot of thought. That's how you gotta think when you watching shit like Invincible. You gotta think like that. You gotta disbelieve a lot of shit.
stuff expects you to just go along with it, in order to fully embrace what the fiction is presenting. Most fictional products rely on the suspension.
And you know what, John Bap, you hated that. Turn your brain off. That's what turn your brain off is. This is what turn your brain off is. Suspension of disbelief. That's what turn your brain off is.
Is the avoidance, often
One more
described as
time.
willing, of critical thinking and logic in understanding something that is unreal or impossible in reality, such as something in a work of speculative fiction, in order to believe it for the sake of enjoying its narrative. In other words, some stuff expects you to just go along with it, in order to fully embrace what the fiction is presenting. Most fictional products rely on the suspension of disbelief. I first encountered this concept in Baldur's Gate 3, wherein this important artifact,
Keon
which is
favorite
in the very
fucking game.
localized possession of this character, is suddenly thrust onto us, the main character. Even if you don't have Shadowheart, the initial guard of the artifact, in your party, it just automatically pops into your inventory when you approach specific story events. You don't question it, because it also protects you from this stupid thing, and honestly it's its own beast of a story to make a video about. You don't question it. But I did. It just didn't add up. I felt this exact same way while I rewatched.
You're not supposed to ask them questions though, my
because there's
nigga.
way too much to notice and analyze when Miguel brought up his whole canon event theory. For starters, Miguel points to specific canon events that help.
It's gonna be a lot of suspension of disbelief to
it makes sense. Problem
Doomsday,
is, it's a
nigga.
multiverse
Watch.
he's working with. And in a multiverse where time and space are influenceable even by mere mortals, the possibilities are literally endless. These hinge points are important, but who's to say exactly that they all have the same level of impact for everyone? Let alone that Spider-Man has to get to that point to begin with. Miles hasn't reached the police captain moment, but he's had his Uncle Ben moment, at least adjacent to it. Miles has also learned all of his Spider-Man skills and confidence from Spider-Man of other universes. And let's not forget, he became Spider-Man because of a Spider-Man. And let's not forget that he became Spider-Man because of a spider from another universe. So all of this happened in one continuity. It sounds absolutely mental for me to say, but that shouldn't have happened. At least within the context of Miguel's theory. Even if it only applies to specific canon events, who's to say that that's the norm? You could counter this by saying that every universe is connected. And while that may sound factual, who determined that to begin with? It wasn't Miguel. You could point your finger at Kingpin, and the most obvious choice is the Spot, because he's making Kingpin's consequences worse. There is the web simulation, but again, we're going with the motion that none of these universes should be connected. Not to mention, there's literally technology for Spider-Gwen to go back in time and see exactly what happened. If the canon, as intended, was meant to just be for each universe, a Spider-Man from another universe seeing it all go down literally should not be a possibility. Counterpoint, the What If episode wherein Doctor Strange saved his fiancée. First of all, bullcrap. there's definitely a way to save her without breaking the universe, because that dude's a wizard. How is there no way for him to save
Bro, I
someone?
remember that episode, bro. That shit was crazy, nigga. He ended up being in his own box at the end. Like, that shit was nuts.
The very existence
So this is a video for you, Foulstar. Fucking just a lot of shit. But that's the thing. The web connects all Spider-Man. What am I watching, my nigga? It's a good video, though. Good editing, I'll tell you that.
the Spider Society is contradictory to the logic of Miguel O'Hara. Because, again, why are you all here? You see, if everyone is meant to stick to their canon timeline, why would you, Mr. O'Hara, want to bring together as many Spider-Man as is possible and have them physically, mentally, and emotionally experience all these different variations and possibilities? I'm gonna sound mental here, but you can't just place a Spider-Man in this kind of situation and not go back to your universe ever the same. You've seen the possibilities, you've seen the variations. You would not return to your world not wanting to know what the future holds, especially if Miguel shows you the simulation of the Spider-Verse, and especially when technology that pinpoints each universe is lying around. That's just asking for anomalies to create themselves. But sure, the Spider-Men are good guys, and won't just seek out this level of knowledge and power without a morally good reason.
Okay.
You know who would though? These people. Who's to say that a Kingpin of another world won't get inspired by their experiences and repeat what 1610's Kingpin did?
Yeah.
And even if we put the MCU as an outlier, Miguel not knowing the MCU's Peter Parker by name while mentioning Doctor Strange solidifies its existence. Sure, you could argue that the Spider-Verse is a separate entity, as seen here when Peter looks into what we can identify as a multiversal web. But that Sonyverse and the MCU are straight up shown makes Miguel's theory at best an educated guess.
Nah, it's in the MCU. It's connected to the MCU.
Continuity without deviation. There's simply too many butterfly effects that are possible as a result of multiversal interaction between Spider-Man and their antagonists, some of which is possible by the power of the Spot alone. He hasn't done much, but that's not any less relieving. Miles becoming Spider-Man alone is its own butterfly effect. He wouldn't have gotten involved with Kingpin's plan. Spider-Man
I always like that
would
black
have
and red
died.
suit.
Miles getting his powers should have never happened, and there wouldn't have been an Aaron moment for him.
That suit was fire, bro.
Guess what? Some of those butterfly effects have happened for the Spider-Man already. Look at Mayday, the daughter of Mary Jane and Peter B. Parker, made possible because Peter B. realized that he could actually do well as a parent after spending some time with 1610's Miles Morales. We also have Spider-Gwen and her case.
That was a good storyline.
Because of her Peter Parker's death, she finds a renewed sense of connection with Miles Morales.
I forgot about that.
The thing that grounds her between being Spider-Woman and being a normal high schooler.
Yeah, she did have a good
It's
story.
hard to keep that a secret when your dad is a police officer, one obsessed with stopping Spider-Woman, who he thought had killed Peter. One that still sticks to this obsession even after the revelation that it's his own daughter that he's aiming a gun at. And this awkward situation was only made possible.
I wouldn't mind
because of the
Gwen
vulture from the
Stacy
Renaissance,
Spider-Woman
a superhero
movie.
moment shared by Gwen, Miguel, and Jessica. Well, Jess, but you get the point. At this time as well, Gwen was already experiencing social isolation. She's quit her band, her only friend has died, her only other friend is in another dimension, and her dad thinks he's getting close to capturing Spider-Woman, aka Gwen. All of this had many implications. The Vulture is confused by this world of color and lashes out.
Alright, buddy.
The police respond and end up seeing both the Vulture and Miguel, even interacting with them. People are saved by the Spider People's combined efforts. And ultimately, Officer Stacy is webbed up and watches as his daughter vanishes into thin air.
I forgot half
thanks
this shit
to
happened.
Miguel. Cut to the end of the movie and Officer Stacy has resigned. As far as we're concerned, the kind of canon event that Miguel describes, should it even exist for Gwen,
Mind is blown.
null and void. Why? Because Officer Stacy made that choice. A choice influenced by a certain string of events made possible by the very presence and decisions of multiversal forces. Here's the thing.
Okay, I
Miles
understand
went
that.
through all of that. without even
That
knowing
all
what
that being
the
said,
kind of
I
event he
understand.
does, because that's what
I truly
Spider-Man
understand
does.
what he's trying to
He
say.
didn't have that meta-existential knowledge of what the order of the multiverse should be like.
But let me
because why
explain
would
what
he?
he's saying to let y'all know that I get it and just not capping. He's trying to say that since Officer Gwen's dad made a decision based on the Spider-Verse connectivity, that kind of disproves Miguel's point of it doesn't need to exist. I don't fucking know. I think that's what he's trying to say.
He's just a dude from Brooklyn. A dude whose experiences with other Spider-Men as a result of the Kingpin gives him a new set of goals in life, and Rio's own advice literally sets the path straight for Miles. But guess what? Where exactly is he gonna get those experiences if he doesn't follow his dreams? His multiversal dreams, to be frank. His story is impossible without multiversal intervention. And again, if it is meant to be that way, tell me, why has his world not fallen apart? And this is without factoring every individual moment that theoretically should not be possible. These guys would have crash landed a helicopter without Miguel and Jess.
This is when you have to key phrase that you said in your own video, Monica. Suspension of suspension of disbelief.
Would have never interacted with Peter B. The family of another universe's
That was a good
would have never
MJ.
experienced the universes merging together, also all of NYC. And Miles would have never become
Back when
either
Kingpin actually had a
Spider-Man
good,
or
interesting
Prowler.
story.
Oh, and the Spider-Men should not know each other in such a
Universe
wide-scale
canon.
societal sense.
This is
Even if you
his
go by
universe
this logic
canon.
that the universe protects its canon, link in the description for the full video, it's an indicator that some things don't
That's what he
belong
just
in
said it right
some
there when you
places.
said it, 5-star.
It's just
It protects
chaos
his own
all
canon.
around. Perhaps Beyond the Spider-Verse will correct this video and show that Miguel has a point. But as of now, his theories and his evidence, it's just not it.
And it isn't. I don't believe it's it. Well, let me finish it.
Shows a limited mindset that, while justified by traumatic events, are ultimately a projection of his own failures and mistakes. The degree to which Miguel believes he is holding the Spider-Verse together may end up being the multiverse's own undoing. All because he couldn't bear to see that there are other options.
Which makes Miguel a terrific character. Makes him a fantastic character, my nigga. Miguel, my nigga. I like that nigga character, bro. Hey. He was never right, but that's what makes him a perfect character, bro. The fact he wasn't never right. If you know, you know. Put in the comment section below if you hyped for the Spider-Verse, and do you think Miguel was right or wrong? Because this video was too much for my brain. So maybe y'all know in the comments what some of this shit I didn't get. And yeah. Shout out to 5-star for being here for the full video. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense. Yeah. What 5-star said. Peace.